Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This week is going to be packed. We're going to be tired. We're going to be excited. But I hope you tune in tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, and probably something else that I'm forgetting. We'll get to that later in the previews. I'm going to start tonight's show with a quote. It's a little known quote. I'm probably not going to do it justice. Just bear with me. Quote, finally, Star Wars has come back to UPRE. That quote is by Dwayne Johnson. Let's start the show. I'm going to bring in our newest co-host, E Boogie. E Boogie, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
You seem excited about this show, slash the quote, slash I'm not sure what else.
I'm excited to be alive. Much like the rebellion, I'm keeping it pushing. I'm keeping the faith, keeping it going, keeping hope alive.
She is one with the Force, and the Force is with her. Next, I'm going to bring in a man who I don't know if his name is a misnomer, but he's calling himself episode 5.2. Now, sir, why do you call yourself 5.2 and not 3.5?
Well, because Darth Vader is still alive. Like, you know? So like
Well,
so
remember,
like
what
so
happens in
like
episode 4?
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get this in post. Don't worry. But he's excited to be here. He's no longer regretting. So does that mean that
I'm
he
not
likes
regretting?
the show?
I am definitely not regretting. This was a good one. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It is one of my
And
favorites. I've tipped my hand early in these series of Star Wars movies that we're reviewing. But coming in tonight, and it's ironic that he's here on our show because he wasn't in this movie. It's the Emperor. He's calling himself the executive consultant. How are you doing, sir?
He was mentioned, though. I will say he was mentioned. Stole the show once again just because he was mentioned.
The humility is what we love.
Every day of my life.
Today is Best Friend Day. If you follow any of the hosts, you can look at all their best friends. You won't find me on any of the posts, even though they flooded my timeline. But if you don't mind, we're talking about Rogue One. You okay? You can get it. So we're talking about Rogue One. Let me just begin. No, because it's literally
it's hard when you're executive consultant.
Like I tried to include everybody. It was cropped.
I tried to include everybody. I tried. It's okay. We don't have any group pictures lately. Like
there's a picture that you always show on this show,
and you get embarrassed every time. It's like you end up in a wheelchair.
We've only made 6 movies together under 20.
Ladies.
Speaking of ladies, I can't wait until we do Death Proof because I just watched that movie literally right before I got home.
You're welcome.
Oh, is that the words you want to use to me? Okay.
I haven't seen that movie. I think the only Tarantino movie I haven't seen. All right, let me do this the synopsis for anybody who hasn't seen Rogue One. This is going to be a spoiler alert. I teased it also in saying that this is episode 3.5 because it takes place between episode 3 and episode 4. Literally weeks or days. Okay, just tip in the hand. If you haven't seen this movie, you may want to watch it with the volume down so we get those views. But anyway, when a message is smuggled out of Imperial hands on Edu, the small and fractured rebel alliance seeks out the daughter of Galen Erso, the architect and engineer behind the construction of the Death Star, the new superweapon rumored to have the ability to destroy entire planets. Now, a lot going on in this movie. I think, Vic, this is the first time you've seen it. I'm not sure about Eve Boogie, but anybody can go first if they would like. What did you find interesting or compelling or disdainful about this movie?
Okay.
Whoever would like to take it.
Okay. Well, here's the main difference. They should have gone down this route for the last 3 movies. It's just the storytelling was better. The action was pretty much similar. Hi Chris, how you doing? It's good to see you. Welcome back. We haven't seen you in a long time.
Thanks. Such a good looking guy, I might add. Good looking guy.
You can find him on Chris's timeline.
Yeah, he's a little uppity for my taste, but whatever. Anyway,
15 years old.
But anyway, I appreciated the story and the fact that literally was one full story instead of just a series of movies. I appreciated clearly the droid. The black droid, I keep forgetting his name, but he had a ton of personality. Like I really, really
K2SO.
enjoyed that.
I
Thank
think
you. Thank you. So now I really appreciated him because he had a ton of personality. I think it's the first time I ever see a droid like use a gun. I could be wrong, but it was great. He sacrificed himself. Like he just did it, there was just a lot of depth to him, which I really, really appreciated. Now yes, I'm calling myself the Star Wars mid card because that's how I felt like this movie was. Like there was a lot of, they were pretty much just highlighting people lower down in the card. Like you saw R2D2 and C3PO in this movie for a little bit, which was really cool. And I was happy to see them, always happy to see them. Because while I was watching the movie, I was actually going to mention how this is probably the first time that they're not in the movie. But I seriously, I haven't seen Solo yet, but I seriously think that these guys are in every single thing, which is awesome to me because, I love the technology when it comes to these movies. Now, just the whole situation, the whole drama of everything of trying to go get the flash drive, for lack of a better phrase, was just awesome. Just the whole drama behind it, and I really enjoyed it. And I can definitely see why people favor this movie above a lot of the other movies. Because like I was said before, the storytelling, the action, the modern look, and then honestly, like just seeing Darth Vader there was just awesome. You know what I mean? Because I also felt like more than anything, a lot of this was just made to bring Vader back, just to bring Vader back to the big screen in some capacity. Because clearly after watching all of this, that is the most famous character. Like, I would say Yoda's a number 2, but I think that Darth Vader is top tier, like number 1, the one that is the most influential and all of that. Shout out to James Earl Jones. Now I'm done.
E-Boogie, would you like to go?
Sure. I want to echo that idea about Darth Vader. I feel like what was missing from all the Star Wars that we've watched is kind of seeing that middle-aged Darth Vader where he's kind of at his prime, at his peak, not quite decrepit Darth Vader that we were left with at the end. And kind of just at the epitome of his evil capacity. I thought that was an awesome way to kind of bring us to what the next episode would have been, and really show us what we have in store for the next episode. And I want to I took a couple notes that I thought were interesting, because a lot of this has been me just sitting with myself. Nice shirt. Me just sitting with myself and wondering, what is the goal of the Empire? Like, I understand absolute power and governance for sure, but it's like, I kind of always wondered what the end game was. And in the beginning of this film, there was a quick chat, for sure. There was a quick chat about what that motivation really is on behalf of the Empire, between Galen and Krennic. Galen says, "You're confusing peace with terror." And Krennic says, "Well, you have to start somewhere." I thought that was a really interesting and dismissive way to say, listen, this is not about morality. I have my orders, and this is what I'm doing. This is what I believe in. So this is what I'm doing here. And you're either with us or you're going to die right now. So your family. That really drew the line in the sand there for that little quick action sequence. Shout out to Lyra Esso for getting that started. I was really excited to see some action kick off with a female character, even though we didn't really see her for the rest of the movie whatsoever. Presumably she's dead, but I thought that was cool that she's like, "You ain't taking my man or my family." I thought that was really cool. Really, I'm still kind of wondering what the alloy is of the Imperial troopers armor. It's like ongoing. It cannot withstand even a bamboo stick. If you remember when they finally reached Edu and met with the protectors of the Kyber Stone Temple, and one of them was kind of like a Jedi fundamentalist played by what's his name?
Did you just say? Did you just say a Jedi fundamentalist?
Well, I mean, he
I
wasn't
see
a
the play on
Jedi.
words. I see what you did there.
He wasn't a Jedi, but he really believed in the texts, I imagine, and kind of that Force belief system. Now, there's two things about him. His character, played by Donnie Yen, the same guy who plays Ip Man, he was incredible. I really loved that he was blind. I thought that added an extra layer to his already pretty interesting character, and dynamic character. We haven't seen any like Jedi loyalists up until this point, outside of just the rebellion. So that was interesting. He straight up beat the brakes off of like 5 or 6 troopers with just what appeared to be a bamboo stick. And not to be racist, because I don't think that it was bamboo, but I mean, it looked like bamboo to me. And he was knocking them out with just that bamboo stick. And at this point, I'm just like, what is the alloy that they're using for this? And how can't it withstand a large stick? Maybe it was the force behind the stick. I don't know. Now it does explain that he's not force sensitive. If you go into his character and kind of research about it, the character is not force sensitive, but at some point he blindly shoots and hits one of the Imperial fighter jet ship things. And I'm like, how did he do that if he's not force sensitive? I thought that was incredible and impossible. Outside of that, I was really into this movie. It was very gritty, which I liked, and I really wish the later movies took it a step further, like this movie did with the grittiness. I guess I'll share my final thoughts later.
Executive, you want to go? Or you want me to go?
You know what I think, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to unveil the curtain and talk about my plan. So typically, what's going to happen is I'm going to go next to last on this segment. Okay, you're going to go last because you're much like Star Wars, the sequels after a little too long. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, plus we also have a new segment, and we're going to begin it right now, right before James. Here you go. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You tune in because you want to hear the thoughts of the executive consultant, and I got it here right for you. This movie was good, but one thing that I couldn't stand at the beginning, I think E Boogie hit the nail right on the head. I think she did a good job. Congratulations, E Boogie. That actually almost made up for the fact you had me watch this movie today called Death Proof that will reveal on Thursday. Now, what the hell was this force-sensitive blind guy who got paid $4 million was doing? Using a kendo stick to hit these daggone stormtroopers on the head and knocking them out. I don't understand, made no sense to me whatsoever. Kind of took away from the greatness of that scene. I knew these people were going to die, just like everybody knew these people were going to die because it led up to exactly what you see in Star Wars Episode 4 and stuff like that. And then they had to make everybody's death so sad. It was like I'm watching Han Solo get thrown off a balcony by his son again. I was a little disappointed by that, okay? Little disappointed. You got the Death Star, and the Death Star had a major upgrade, right? Since the upgrade happened so fast when they're able to destroy little cities into planets in a matter of days, I thought it was pretty good. I want to compare that to Samsung as opposed to Apple because the upgrade was a little bit faster than it would have been for Apple, which would have been the same thing. You know, it would have been like Episode 4 to Episode 7. Now, that being said, I appreciate the fact that they got what's his name, Tarkin, General Tarkin, or whatever, Admiral Tarkin, whatever his name is, CGI face, him and Leia. I'm glad to see they made appearances in this movie. I'm glad to see that they weren't looking like the Crypt Keeper in this movie. I appreciated seeing all of this in this movie. This movie told a story. This movie had interesting characters. Shout out once again, that was to Cedar Superior, who's in the comments. It said she was a better female lead than Rey, and she was only in one movie. She was a better female lead than Rey. She had personality. She didn't seem like she just wanted to sleep with everybody. But couldn't figure out if she wanted to sleep with this person or wanted to sleep with that person. Oh, this person is destroying planets. I want to sleep with him. Oh, this person looks like he's interested in this transvestite. I want to sleep with him. It's crazy. Finn was interested in the transgender, the Asian transgender in the movie. She was
Why do you call her a transgender?
She is. She is.
According to who?
Look it up. She's a transgender.
In the movie, she's the transgender?
No,
Right,
the actor is a transgender. But I didn't know,
Okay,
right?
so a transgender is not.
Look.
It's not a transgender.
Forgive the ignorant. I don't know any of that. All I know is they were really confused, and I'm glad that we got the chance to see it in the month of June. Okay, but here's my thing. Right? Here is my thing. Right?
Are you actually glad?
I am happy. I'm happy. I feel like we should have picked a movie to celebrate Pride this month.
Would you say that you're gay?
Would I say I'm very happy that we're talking about this?
Yes, you're gay.
I am extremely happy. Thank you. Yes.
All right, excellent.
All right. Exactly. Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, we're in high school.
No, high school. I was
I'm talking about the conversation between.
I thought I was suspended. All right. So anyway, look at it. If we go back to high school, that's what happened to me.
That's a deep cut. Only Daniel will understand that joke.
If you could find him. No, I think he was on. Never mind. Look. Anyway, no, the movie was good. In all seriousness, the movie was very, very good. It told a good story. It was sandwiched in between some terrible movies, so I appreciate the fact that they were able to tell a very good story. I was just about to say that E-Boogie LA saying transgender is like saying a black. Look, Superior. Unless you're coming on the show to correct me, you wipe that down. Okay, wipe that down. Give him praise to E-Boogie. Look at what they're tripling up on me. It's like I'm watching the.
Hold on, can I quote Kevin Samuels for a second? Get my likes up. Get my likes up.
Oh, she say no.
I'm quoting him.
Like I said, good story, good characters, good lead, good villain. That guy plays a very, very good villain. So I just thought it was wonderful. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about one of the greatest scenes in Star Wars history. That's what it was, right? I'm not saying it was the greatest scene, but it's one of the greatest scenes in Star Wars history. Darth Vader coming through there like a boss, right? Like I was about to walk in some place and just fire everybody. That's how Darth Vader looked. Right? They even gave him the black smoke. He just was killing people. And I was like, wow, man. I mentioned earlier, and this is how I'm going to end this segment. I mentioned earlier how the Death Star upgraded like a Samsung. Well, Darth Vader downgraded like an Apple. And what I mean by that is he killed all these people in this little tube thing, right? All fast, boom, 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 huh, 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 huh. And then 2 days later, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, okay.
Had the worst fight I've seen since Mayweather and Logan Paul. So I just want everybody to really pay attention to what I'm saying. And that is the consulting with the consultant for this movie.
Before I begin,
we're on you. Hold up. I made you an intro too.
Wait, hold on. Before I begin, I just want to thank some sponsors. I'd like to thank Apple for sponsoring us in tonight's episode. We do appreciate you and the products you send us. You won't be able to tell that from the audio, but Apple, we again thank you for your sponsorship. Now, Chris, the intro that you made for me without my knowledge.
All right. That, ladies and gentlemen, was long and drawn out. So that was pretty much letting you know, listen to James right now, because he knows he's on a timer. He knows he's going to give you that critical information in 10 minutes or less. Go ahead. Cassian.
I'm on a timer, but I'd like to give more of my time to Chris so he can talk about how I talk too much. I just have a few things to say. I just have a few things to say about this movie that I said was my top 3 Star Wars films. Again, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and then Rogue One. Now, why is this up there? A lot of people have already said it. Chrissy said it in the comments. I said this in the last time we did a Star Wars episode. Again, forget the tokenism. You had multi-ethnic, multicultural people in this movie, all throughout, all leads. And they had a reason and purpose to be there, right? They all had different accents, right? They all were varying degrees of gray. The thing that I love most about this movie is nobody was black and white. They were all gray. Even the military, even the Empire, what Aaron mentioned earlier, when Krennic says to him, you got to start somewhere. It didn't matter to him. Maybe he really meant that he wanted to bring peace and stability to the galaxy, because you got to remember there are all these different star systems all throughout that galaxy, right? And the Empire would be the most logical. And if it meant that you have to be ruthless in order to get that peace and stability, he was willing to do that. If there was a better way to do it, then he was willing to go that route. All of that is gray. It just so happens to be black and white. Thank you so much. If we happen to agree with it. Aaron, let's show some humility. Aaron. So, hey, Vic, once again, I thank you for being part of the show. But so that's why I loved it, because everybody was so good. No, it's good that you're here, because we rewatched this partially for you in this order, because you haven't seen these before and you're so attentive in every episode. And I want to thank you live on air. So everybody was gray in this thing. I want to highlight how the effects of war really do affect people. We saw all those battles. Supposedly, these entire planets were being destroyed in episode 7. It sent out the 3-prong attack with the laser beams or whatever those were supposed to be. I'm not being funny. I don't understand exactly what that was supposed to be, right? So theoretically, billions or trillions of people died. But nobody except in Rise of Skywalker looked sad at this incredible loss of life, right? In this one, you see that the Rebel Alliance is not some unified force, which would make sense as to why they couldn't just have a coordinated attack. They had to do guerrilla runs, hit and runs, and everything like that, and why it took them so long possibly to even mount a defense against the Empire, let alone an offense, right? But we see that all the people involved in the Rebel Alliance are grizzled, right? Here we go. The pettiness in the comments is hilarious. They're grizzled, right? Vic has time to text, but not to be a part of the show. They're grizzled, right? I'm going to mention some people. Saw Gerrera, right? Cassian Andor, Jyn Erso, Bodhi Rook, Baze Malbus. Baze Malbus is one of the Guardians of the Will. He was the other one with Donnie Yen's character that they talked about, who was blind, right? Guardians of the Will, I'll get to that later, my final thoughts, because it's something that I think that 7, 8, and 9 should have listened to George Lucas. Hint and tip of the hat, if you already have Google, right? General Davin, okay, that's the one that told Cassian to kill Galen Erso. Galen Erso himself. Tivik, the man who first gave the information, he was one of Saw Gerrera's men. All of them are at their breaking point. And there's a moment in this movie where Cassian says, all of us have done things that we had to suppress in our subconscious, as hard as that is. And if we don't do this right now, it means that we were murderers, we were liars, we were killers for no reason. This has to be for something. I have to believe that, if nothing else, right? When you show something like that, that shows a believable human being, because there is no human being who's just black and white. All of us reside in gray, right? I'm not trying to get into a commentary about how society views different things to different people and what your opinion is on that, whatever. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. But I'm saying we as humans are all gray. That's the space we inhabit. So if art is going to imitate life, it should do so effectively. It should show it. Right? This movie does that again in one movie, as compared to 3 that doesn't give that complexity at all. Right? We already touched on diversity. Shout out to them being able to recreate, however they did it, with the body double and then the face CGI of Grand Moff Tarkin. That was phenomenal. even down to the voice and being able to have the dialogue and everything like that, that you felt like you were really part of that world in that timeline, that these people still existed. Shout out to that hallway sequence with Vader, the fact that he stops the door from opening and he says, I'm about to F stuff up. I'm gonna handle it boss style, right? And Chris is absolutely right, because of course they couldn't do that back in 1977 when the movie came out. But he was slicing through him. You see why the Emperor wanted Vader. Even when Krennic goes to him and notice that he had his palace on Mustafar, where he was born as Vader, he intimidated Krennic, who was on the same team, right? I love those small nuggets. Even the final scene when you see them on the same ship that Episode 4 opens up, and you see Captain Antilles and he hands that to Leia, who's in the same outfit and everything like that. CGI was not as good as the other one, but they used it all on Tarkin. But whatever, it completes it. It brings it all back together, right? I love that. Just small nuggets and everything like that. I also love something else. We talk about CGI a lot and special effects. I love that they use practical models in this and they blended it with CGI. So you have Vic. So we have a realism. And it's okay. We have a realism and a tangible universe, even though they have technology that obviously we don't have in the real world. It's just beautifully, beautifully done. The movie looks beautiful. The planets that they go to look unique. They look beautiful. You can identify where they are. They don't look like the same place as in 7, 8, and 9, right? I like that everybody has a purpose. I can't say that enough. I'll get to some more little nuggets and my final thoughts as to different people we see and different homages that they give to the other movies. But it's a fan service movie, and it also answers the question, because when we see Episode 4, as Chris alluded to, as he said, I knew everybody had to die, because they say they brought these plans to us at great cost. Now, it doesn't say literally that everybody died, but this movie is so steeped in realism that when everybody dies, you don't want them to, because you like these people, even though you've only met them for whatever the runtime of the movie is. But it's believable that they would die. And they all go out having served their purpose. There's no reason for them to come back as Harrison Ford and be like, where's my check? I mean, Ben Solo, don't kill me. There's no reason for that. They served their purpose. They had their time in the sun. And now it's time for somebody to step up. I love that. It was all around good for me, but I'm saving the rest for my final thoughts.
All right. Well pointed, well said there by James, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back. Find out what we're reviewing actually tomorrow on a special episode, Thursday and next Tuesday. Watching Unpopular Review Rogue One. Stay with us.
Is this guy supposed to be the ultimate badass?
I'm looking for Llewellyn Moss.
Go up to his trailer?
Yes.
Do you want to leave a message?
Yes. You don't understand.
Tarantino and Rodriguez are back.
Do I frighten you? Is it my scar? It's your car.
Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof.
Might wanna buckle up, baby.
Let me give you some advice. Assume everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed.
I got a really good feeling about this.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, watching Unpopular Review. Make sure you pay attention tomorrow, 8 o'clock. It's going to be none other than No Country for Old Men, and that's going to be a really fun episode with about 5 people, maybe 6. So stay tuned for that one. On Thursday, we're going to be right here at 9:30 p.m. for none other than Death Proof, E Boogie's first host pick. Look forward to that one coming up on Thursday, and then next Tuesday we're right back here for the final movie in this franchise, Star Wars Solo, Star Wars story. But today, Rogue One, and we're into our final thoughts. Vic, you want to go first? Star Wars mid-card. About to be an opener. Muted, bro.
Hey, Chrissy says, I can't wait to see
All
this.
right, so above all else,
a week ago, that still hasn't been released.
Compared
I've been
to
busy. I've been busy.
Yeah. Okay, so like the name says, a Star Wars mid card. Everybody in the mid card was pretty much highlighted. A lot of the people that you don't that in the other movies you don't really necessarily get to see highlighted. There was a story highlighted made out of them, and that's something that I appreciated out of this movie, because a lot of the things that James was alluding to earlier is that there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of different types of people, a lot of different stories, a lot of different stuff. The only other time you kind of see stuff like that is like the story of the stormtroopers in the later movies. But other than that, like you see that here a lot. So that all of that is appreciated. The blind guy, I loved. I loved the blind guy. The blind guy, who he reminded me of? Rafiki from The Lion King. That's the funny thing. But if this was a cartoon movie, that would be my recasting. But anyway, um, there's a lot to say about this. There really is. There's a whole lot to say about this movie because it was a lot of fun. It was a good time, honestly. But I think that the most important thing to say is that this should have been the direction that they went with 7, 8, and 9, or at least something similar to this, because I mean, this girl seems way, way stronger than Ren. And, when it comes to the Force, I think the only person actually using the Force was Darth Vader in this movie. I could be wrong. Maybe I didn't pay attention. But I think he was the only person actually using it. And everybody was just running around with "May the Force be with you." So, there's a lot of realism to it. So, I can appreciate it. And so clearly, it's a thumbs up.
Boogie.
All right, I'm going. Okay. First and foremost, shouts out to Jen Aso. That is the main character of this film. She is a female protagonist. We will call her by her name because she really impressed us. I mean, I've been working with y'all for a couple weeks now, and you guys have a very high bar for female protagonists and or supporting actresses. So I gotta say I'm proud of this actress and this character. I think they did a really good job. Even her position in all of the character dynamics, like I thought that they made really great use of that. She kind of had nothing to do with this except for her connection with her father, but she continued with the rebellion even after him being killed, even when she found out the plan was for him to be killed the whole time. She was really committed to this new person, this new calling that had found her. And I thought that was really interesting. The theme of the overall movie to me felt very much so like sometimes following orders isn't the best thing to do, and have your own mind, and think outside of yourself. And I think that the characters really supported that theme and did an excellent job of that. Never realized this until seeing this film, but the Death Star is essentially a giant lightsaber. And I had no idea or knowledge of that kind of anatomically same or mechanically same thing, seeing that they have the same power source. I thought that was pretty interesting. And honestly, I can take any film with Viggo Mortensen and Jimmy Smits in it. They're both really interesting actors to look at. And they had, I don't know, something about each of them. I feel like their technique is very similar, and they kind of end up getting stereotyped a lot as complicated characters, not quite protagonists, not quite antagonists, but somewhere in the middle. I thought both of them did a really good job at that in this movie, even though we only had Viggo for 2.5 seconds, but I thought it was cool. 3 seconds, sure. I'm going to give it a thumbs up, most notably because the story was excellent and it plugged in perfectly to the rest of the timeline and story, and also almost every single character in this film was very hot. And that is always a bonus for me.
See the hormones is agreeing with you in the comments, Aaron, about the hotness and all of that. She's invoking the Lord in her libido. So again, I'm just gonna bring up some things that are in there. In the original novelization for episode 4, New Hope, Luke is said to be part of the Blue Squadron, right? But because they were using blue screen back then, they couldn't use it, so they changed it to red. That's why Luke is in Red Squadron. And in this movie, you actually see Blue Squadron for the first time in Star Wars canon and on the big screen, right? The two guys in Jeddah walking that Jyn Erso and Cassian bump into are the same guys that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker bump into on Tatooine a few days later. That and that Obi-Wan Kenobi cuts off the arm. They're the two guys. Was it Baba and Evazan? Those are the two guys there.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the movie
Don't
ends
get that.
exactly moments before episode 4 begins. Remember, that's why Vader knew that they were lying, that that they had the Death Star plans, because he saw them leave outside of the Mon Calamari ship. And then we also talked about Chirrut, that was the blind guardian, and also Baze, that was the one who had the machine gun type laser weapon or plasma weapon. Those are some of the Guardians of the Wills, the ones who survived when the Empire took over Jeddah. And they guard the Kyber crystals in that Jedi temple. And the original idea for 7, 8, and 9 was that George Lucas wrote out basically a rough draft, was for them to delve into that, the Guardians of the Wills, and what that's about, to explain more of the mythology of the world and world building, which when you think about it would have been smart, because they could have expanded the Star Wars universe and made many different branches, hence money as a company. But Disney wanted to just repeat the same thing rather than take the risk of doing something new. That's why you got literally the remakes, as I've been saying, of all the movies we've seen before, rather than take it in a new direction, which would allow you to branch off into many different things, right? But again, they didn't want to listen to George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. This movie, as I was watching it, I don't have a recast it, but it reminds me very much, and Chris will appreciate this. There's an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I'm very much a Star Trek fan as well as a Star Wars fan. We got it. You have a high libido, Chrissy. Shout out to you. But it's called what is it called? I just had it. In the Pale Moon. Is it In the Pale Moonlight? Yes, the Pale Moonlight, right, Chris? When they try and get the Romulans to join the war with the Federation and the Klingons, right? And they have to trick them into doing it. And Garrick uses underhanded methods, and he ends up killing a Romulan senator, but making it look like the Dominion did it. And Cisco is furious. He's a human. We don't do that. And how could you do that? And he's trying to take out his anger. And Garrick calls him on it. He says, Are you serious? Do you know how many millions of people have already died, let alone the millions of people who will die? We need this to happen. They won't know. It'll look like they found something out about the Dominion, and the Dominion is trying to cover their tracks, because that's exactly what the Romulans would do. And at the end of the episode, Cisco is looking right into the camera as the episode closes, and he says, I think I could live with that. And if I had to do it again, I do it all. I probably would. I do it all over again. And he says, Garrick was right about one thing. A guilty conscience is a small price to pay. That is what we see with these different people, part of the Rebel Alliance. In the original episode 4, it's done as a fairy tale where they're literally the cowboys with the white hats. But nobody in this movie has a white hat. Everybody's hands are dirty. There's nobody who goes to war. I don't care what country, which side, what your political views are. Everybody gets their hands dirty, or in the case of war, bloody. And everybody has trouble sleeping at night. And that's what you see in this movie. It was so gritty. At times, it was like you're watching Vietnam, especially at the end of the movie when they were on Scarif, and it was very tropical, especially when they had the drop depots when the soldiers were getting out. It looked very much like that. It was literally Star Wars. There's so much about this movie that I appreciate, the small details that give it a further realism. And I always talk about that in whatever movies that we're watching. Even if I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief, which you do in every movie that you walk in, even if it's supposed to take place in our reality, right? I have to believe that these people wake up and they don't have to wash their face. There's no crust in their eyes. There's no slob in the side of their mouth. They just look like they're ready to go out the door. that's a suspension of disbelief, right? So we always do it. But the further you go into surreal, you have to ground it. And that's what this movie does so perfectly. Loved it. So much more to say, but again, that's not this show. I give it a thumbs up.
Hey, can I jump in and correct something for my final
Christy
thought?
doesn't have a high libido. What are you about to say?
Speaking of which, how's the girl? Or
What are you going to correct there?
I'm sorry, I heard something in the background. My bad.
Probably.
I originally said that Viggo Mortensen was in this film. It's not him. It's some other Viggo lookalike named Mada Mikkelsen. And I lied to you not. Whatever. I lied to you. Whatever his name is, Mads. I lied to you not. He looks like Viggo and Jimmy Smits had a male child. He looks smack like the middle of them. So my bad. Mads, you're also scary and good and look like an alien. So perfect casting.
your birthday's coming up.
All right. So let me go ahead and give my little final thoughts. It's $200 million to make this movie. It made $1 billion in this movie to made. It was a good movie, right? Vader had a great scene. Vader had the best scene that I ever seen in Star Wars. One of them, anyway. He always has a good scene, good story, good characters. Hey, what do you think it's going to get? It's going to get a thumbs up from me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching us here on Unpopular Review. Make sure you join us tomorrow for UPRE, where we review No Country for Old Men. And then, of course, if you actually go over to the wrestling YouTube channel, we're on right now for some NXT. But, ladies and gentlemen, for Cassian Andor, for E-Boogie, for Star Wars Mid-Card, I'm the executive consultant. And we'll see you right here next time on Unpopular Review.